Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor, the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app, on Apple Podcasts, on Android, Spotify, or the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. We recommend Spotify. iTunes been a little bit slow lately, so go to Spotify. You can get that on Android or Apple. Also, check out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. 10 different channels, including the draft channel and transaction channel. Eternal's going to make sure that you go in the right channel. Click on the link in the description. You'll bypass that nasty Apple upcharge. Pages $2.99 a month, $2.99 per month. Could be $299 a month. It would still be worth it. The most heat information, $2.99 per month. You can cancel at any time. Also, check out our sponsors. That includes Prize Picks. Use the code 5, FIVE. Put down your $5. You can play across the sports spectrum. That includes NBA, NHL, MLB. When it comes back, NFL, it's all there. PrizePicks.com. Use the code FIVE. Get your $50. And now, today's episode.
Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay, 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to 5 on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at 5 Reasons Sports. I got Eternal Bast. You can follow him at Eternal Bast or find him on playback.tv/5RSN, where we watch the games as they stream. And you can comment on them and chat with us, or on Off the Floor, as I've mentioned many times. All right, as we're speaking here, the Boston Celtics have not yet been eliminated, but they play the Knicks tonight, and they're probably going to get eliminated any day now, or else this would be a tragic choke by the Knicks. So I'm just setting that up, okay, because it's possible with the Knicks' history. But with no Tatum, Boston seems kind of played out right now. It looks like the Knicks are going to advance. They're going to advance to play Indiana if they do. Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals for the second consecutive season. No one has respected this team. This team has been built basically from the middle. They made one major trade to get Siakam with 3 draft picks, and they made one major trade to get Halliburton by trading their star at the time, Sabonis. And that has worked out very well. They've drafted well. You look at Nembhard, Nesmith. They got, in addition to a first-round pick for Malcolm Brogdon. So a really good job by Kevin Pritchard, who tends to do that. And there's a lot that you can trace way back to the Paul George trade on kind of how they got here. But they got Oladipo, they got Sabonis. Sabonis got them Halliburton, and on and on. But it raises a larger point here. Eternal, that's what we're going to get into today, is that the East is more of a mess than ever. And that's no disrespect to the Pacers, but Tatum's going to miss all of next season. Boston was already likely going to cost cut with a new owner. You've got Orlando and Detroit seem to be rising teams. Orlando looks like they're willing to spend, but Orlando didn't really cash it in this year. We'll see if they do next year. Detroit made a major run. Milwaukee, though, is a disaster. I don't know what Giannis is going to do. Dame is out for next season also. Another major injury. Nobody of any merit has really gone east since Dame came from Portland. And everybody goes west. And now Cooper Flagg's even going west. So all these number 1 picks go west. All the stars are going west. Even Jimmy went west. Giannis, there's hints that he may go west to somewhere in maybe, and by west I mean basically Texas, where there's no state tax, or maybe Golden State flips Jimmy for him, which I think is sort of a remote but interesting possibility. And I just don't know what's coming into the East. And I guess the fear here, I don't say fear. Some Heat fans have this fear. So I'll ask you if you have this fear. Listening to Riley's press conference, and with the state of the East right now, do you think they're going to convince themselves that they're like one player away?
I don't think. I know. See, I heard that press conference a little differently. I know we got into and it's been killing me because I hadn't got on here, right? But it was funny listening to you, Alex, and Brady live from the casting room. Um, when you guys were talking about, you're muted, but when you guys were talking about,
that was not a casting room. That was a dressing room that some of the entertainers used. That the Heat
you're not
put
making
my
it better.
daughter up in because she had a half day from school, and they had a security guard out front, so that my daughter, who's 10, would be protected in there, and so that she could watch South Park, which makes me a very bad parent. But like that was not. And then we were looking for a place to podcast afterwards. It was like we could drag all our stuff outside, or we could use a room that already existed. And so we basically moved. It was my daughter's idea, along with Alex. We moved some couch cushions up so that we could record. But anyway, continue. Sorry. I'm just correcting you because I know this is a big joke on Off the Floor. See, this is what you're missing on Off the Floor. Go ahead.
Oh yes, come join us on Off the Floor. But he was referencing the Liberty Mutual commercial. He brought it up, and the joke is the Liberty Beauty.
Ribbit.
Yeah.
Ribbity.
Yeah.
We've come a long way from winning or misery to ribbity. But okay, go ahead.
But he referenced the commercial, which is honestly, it got taken away what he did with the but run it back. He made an acronym. Shout out to Pat. He made an acronym. So that you said this before. They hear the things that people say. Whether it doesn't seem like Pat is the one scrolling Twitter late at night. But they see and hear the things that people say about the running it back. And for you, as you said, running back could be people making it about Tyler for whatever reason, whatever it may be. But I do think they weren't satisfied with how the season ended, even though he said they weren't the last two games. They won a 10-game losing streak. They won 6 games afterwards. The 2 games that they won against Chicago and against Atlanta, those were games that ended up becoming clutch games. I don't think the Chicago game was a clutch one. I'm uncertain about that one, but the Atlanta for sure was a clutch game. So in only one of those games in Cleveland, like you weren't really in it like that. So I don't think, and especially how you guys talked about it, and something I paid attention to as well, how he talked about, the whole alpha thing with Bam and Tyler and things of that nature. I don't necessarily think that they believe they are one player away.
Right.
I don't think so.
Well, look, it depends who that player is, right? So, like, I was putting this out there.
You talk about Giannis. That's a different.
Well, that's a different story. But I was putting this out. I was putting this out there yesterday. That like, who's the best player in the East now? And you've got Embiid hurt, Tatum out, Lillard out, right? Giannis maybe on the move west. Is it Paolo?
That's what I was
Halliburton? Is it Brunson? I mean, where would Durant be on their list of, on the list of players in the Eastern Conference? Where would he be right now? If you put him in the East right now, is he not a top 5 player in the East if he's healthy?
Yeah, obviously, yes.
I mean, he was before he left, wasn't he? But I mean, I feel like the East has gotten weaker. Like, I mean, is Cade Cunningham? I mean, are we elevating certain guys like Paolo and Cade into that stratosphere? But
I think so.
There's not a ton there.
If Giannis went west, which I did see, I was looking for the tweet. I had it up, but it said something about Giannis may want to stay in the East and not go out west. I mean, which would make sense because it's going to be a bloodbath out there. But I mean, if he did go out west, I think you got Cade, you got Jalen Brunson. Everything's up in the air with Joel. Tatum is going to be out. Maybe Jaylen Brown has a bounce back because this was a very rough year for him, both in season and playoffs. He didn't look like the Eastern Conference Finals MVP last year, nor the Finals MVP that he ended up becoming last year. I forgot about Tyrese Maxey, who was hurt all year. So,
yeah, I mean, lots of injuries, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're talking about Embiid, you're talking about all these other guys that were out there that were kind of first team. I mean, again, I keep switching the East versus the West thing, the All Stars, but the guys who were more perennial All Stars, there's not a lot to choose from. I mean, Trey and Atlanta. I mean, the stats are there, but the results are not. I mean, Chicago. So I guess the point is, as we talk about this, and we'll go into the break here and come back on the other side and discuss it more. The point here is that if you added a real star, Donovan Mitchell, I guess, would be up there too, right? But they haven't won.
Oh yeah, of course.
They just lost to Indiana. I don't want to get into what my friend Barry Jackson says because they'll have the pitchforks after me. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of really good players in the East. But again, I can see the Heat talking themselves into, well, we have two good players. We've got Bam and Tyler. I mean, whatever you think of the rest of the roster. And if we go get Kevin Durant, then we've got three good players. And Kevin Durant's a really good player when he's healthy. And I just, again, I'm not advocating this necessarily. I think that when you look at the league as a whole, and you look at where some of those teams in the West are, I lean towards, pivot back, unless you can get KD for exactly your price, which they might, because I don't know that Houston is that interested. We'll see. That to me is the one team that could trump everything Miami could do and would want to. Or if OKC got eliminated in this round, that maybe they would make a run, but I don't. It doesn't look like that's going to happen based on as we're speaking now. But I can be really convinced on this either way. I hate to say that, but I could really be convinced on this either way. I could convince that if you get KD, well, first thing, I have a personal preference because you make things interesting for us again. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, I can't podcast on a 37-45 team without a true superstar. Like that's, or something close. I mean, I will because I'm obligated to, but it's not going to be fun. And poor Greg on all those home game ones that he's got to do. He's got a host. He'll be back with us soon, by the way. But as far as the rest of it, I could be convinced of that. But I don't think you're winning a championship with KD added to this current roster. You'd be more compelling. You'd give yourself a chance if other teams got injured, like we just saw what happened to Boston. I mean, the Knicks put together a roster to beat Boston, not knowing that not only were they going to have a good start in the series, but that Boston would fall apart physically, right, with Tatum and Porzingis. So you kind of roll the dice and you take your chances, and that's kind of where it's at. But anyway, on the other side of this, I'll get to this. What you think, what you think would actually put them in some kind of contention in the East when we are talking about what you said. They were the 10 seed. Only 5 teams were worse, even if they had a net rating that was flat. We do want to tell you about a great sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and that's our friends over at Water Cleanup of Florida. You can find them at WCUFL.com. Michael, Robert, their entire team, they'll take care of you from start to finish. More than 200 5-star reviews on Google. One-stop water and mold cleanup shop. Again, it's WCUFL.com. Get the prevent and the maintenance if you can. If you don't and you see a leak, get them out there right away. They service Boca Raton, but all the way down south, all the way to Monroe County. Again, it's WCUFL.com. Water cleanup of Florida. I'm going to set you up, Eternal. If you've got the schmutz,
they got the goods.
All right, let's do this, okay? Teams right now, we're going to do this real quick. The teams right now that you think are rising going into next year in the East. I would say Detroit, Orlando. Do we have another one? Is there another one at the bottom of the conference we think is rising? I don't think Charlotte is. I don't think Washington. Neither of them got any lottery.
Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I would say I could see Washington being played in work. I mean, you got Sarr, you got Bilal, you have Keratin. Like they have some young guys whose games complement each other, and their game isn't fluff, right? I do think they will be really good. I mean, Atlanta could be one of those teams as well, even without Trey. They got Zachary, they got Jalen Johnson. They're going to have a high pick this time as well. So whoever they can get in the draft to kind of fit alongside that. I do think Dyson Daniels, that Atlanta could find themselves either outside of the play-in or near, I could see them competing for the lower half of the Eastern Conference. And if they finish out the season on a couple of win streaks, into that 7 to 10 seed battling there. So, we could see Atlanta take that jump. I do think there are some teams, which brings me to my next point, because you brought up something that was very interesting. If you look at Orlando, look at Indiana, look at Detroit. All of those are young teams, Ethan, that are going to be annoying for a long time. Like
Yeah. Well, it's kind of why the Heat need to pick a direction, right? We talked about that. Like either you need to sort of get to that line and get better young players, and surround whatever your core is with those young players, develop those young players, or again, you're trying to shortcut this. Now, if you try, there's nothing wrong with shortcutting it if you get the right guy and you don't give up too much. I mean, KD again would be somebody where there would be attention on Miami. Now, KD alone has not led to anything recently. I mean, it didn't lead to anything with a bad coaching situation and a bad defense around him and Booker in particular in Phoenix. It didn't lead to anything with the Nets because Kyrie didn't want to get we all know what happened with Kyrie and Harden and all the rest of that. So it hasn't worked out for him. We're just putting him now. The idea would be putting him in a situation like Miami, where it's a situation he's clearly been enamored with for a while. And the structure and having Bam and Tyler still there, that you have your two scorers, you have Bam cleaning things up defensively. I know you're going to say something about Tyler here because you can't resist, but I'm just saying that would be no. Am I wrong?
I wasn't, but I didn't like the comment there, Ethan. But what I was gonna say on that is, it's so interesting. We just had the Tatum injury, right? And someone brought it up on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but they brought up the injuries. How many games Kevin Durant missed before the Achilles injury? And outside of the big injury that he had the year that he got hurt in OKC, he didn't miss that many games. And then afterward, the game started to pile up. Now, what he's been able to do post Achilles injury is just remarkable, right? But it's still a difference from the KD he was before the Achilles injury. And athletically, and also too, he's 37. And the teams that we're talking about, the Indianas, the Orlandos, the Detroits, hell, even New York. New York isn't old. They're not. Right. They're not an old team.
Well, no. They got a decision to make on Mikal Bridges now, and they gave up a lot of picks for him. But he has panned out with plays he's made down the stretch of games. Has played has been a lot better of a scorer in the last 2-3 months than he looked like early in the season. Is he worth 5 picks? I don't know. But they look. They're not poorly positioned. The Knicks are not poorly positioned. Also, because the Knicks now, for the first time in a long time, are attractive. They're attractive to other teams and to free agents. And other but that was not the case for a while. Like they had to beg basically to get Stoudemire to lead that thing, and they didn't even put anything in the contract to protect himself against those injuries, against the injuries that he would have. But I do think as you look at it, okay, again, there is a case to be made that I'm sure they're making internally, that they're not that far off in the East, simply because the East is so diminished right now, even more diminished than in recent years. It's been diminished for 25 years. Look, the case that they should make, I've said this, to a Durant, if they actually have a conversation or have to convince him to come, which again, the negotiation has to be worked out, but like with the Suns, or again with Giannis, if it comes to the Bucks, is this like, you want to go into that bloodbath in the West? Like, how many times has LeBron gotten to the finals in the East, and how many times has he got there in the West?
Right. I think you make a great point.
That is your best case,
I think you make a great point, but also too, Ethan, my pushback on that would be, just like the reports are for Houston, they have interest in KD, but not that much interest, right? And I think because when you're talking about team building, and we just saw this with Miami, right? Tyler got taken advantage of on the other end of the court, and in some cases on both ends of the court. Now I know Pat was talking in a conference, in the presser about having 2 on ball and everything like that. And I think if you do go out and get a KD, it can't be in a situation where you're giving up so much to get a 37-year-old KD, right? Even if he stays healthy the whole season, you still have to have, especially if you're keeping Tyler, if there's not two-way players in front of KD, then you're going to have to get a dynamic point guard, I believe. To go along with that, to kind of help get the ball out of Tyler's hands, to take some pressure off of KD, because you need someone to get downhill, right? to take advantage of the shooters that you have in Tyler, in KD, somebody that can also get Bam the ball if you're able to keep Khalil in that deal, which is a part of not overselling to get KD. You would have to do something to kind of make all of that work. Otherwise, you just add KD to the problem that you already have now, which this isn't the KD of the Golden State or Brooklyn for that matter. Right? Like, I know you pulled up the numbers of him still being elite as far as a mid-range and a three-point shooter, but you're still going to need somebody to get downhill, get into the paint, all of that, and create free throw opportunities. And also, too, he's not the defender that he used to be either. So now...
He's not, but I want to clarify on that. We did have a guest on from Phoenix, and he said that he blamed most of the defensive trouble that KD has had on the scheme this year and on the other defenders. He actually said he was a real plus defender the year before, and his metrics were about flat. They were worse than last year, but they were flat overall. And his feeling was he was better than his circumstances. But again, he's good at 37. I mean, he's 37. He's got a torn Achilles. You don't want him guarding a lot of the perimeter. You really want him guarding more four types, that kind of player. I'm with you on this. I think that all of this is about, again, their philosophy is always, if there's any chance at all of competing, they're going to try to do that. And
now, I could tell
the East has kind of fallen into that thinking. So that's why I think that may be the direction they go.
I do have a question for you, right? If we talk about how Miami goes about putting together a contender, I personally don't think they did everything they could have done when they had Jimmy. But if there's a shot at Giannis, I think you go you throw everything at the wall to get him, right? I think Miami would absolutely try to keep Bam out of that deal. But Ethan, I ask you, if you traded both Tyler and Bam for Giannis, right?
Right.
Do you really think Miami is going to struggle putting together a team around Giannis?
No.
Giannis in Miami with Spo, basically.
No. Well, that's always been the thing. Is just, and that's what Udonis said on ESPN. He's like, just get the stars and then build the thing around him, which is what they did with Shaq. It's not as easy as it used to be.
Right.
You don't have as many guys out there for minimums. It's not easy, and you're also dealing. Well, minimums don't count in certain ways against luxury tax, but again, but there's. It's more complicated in the current CBA to just put that together the way it used to be. But it is something to explore here. And again, if you can have a shot at Giannis, you take your shot at Giannis. I don't think anybody denies that. The question is, KD is 7 years older, even though his game probably has aged better, even with the injuries, than Giannis's will. But again, it's 7 years older. I mean, you're talking about one guy's in his prime, one is not. But I think just KD's, I mean, we both know this. KD's going to be much easier to acquire. All right. Anyway, interesting conversation. We'll get to more of this as we go forward. We appreciate Eternal joining. You can find him at Eternal Bast on Twitter and also on playback.tv/5RSN. I will actually, I don't know if this is going to be up before then, but I'll join you guys on the Warriors broadcast tonight for time. And then also, we'll see if this is Jimmy's end. I don't know how Heat fans are going to feel about this at this point. It seems like most of them have tuned that out. And then also check him out on Off the Floor. Have a good one, everybody.